Blaine, it's been too long, my friend. I was having Blaine withdrawals. Have you survived the absence from BYU Sports Nation?
You know, once we get through basketball and the craziness of tournament time and all that, and we're working lots of games and doing lots of things, I always feel like, you know what, I'm ready for a break. And that lasts for about a week. And then I go, gosh, when is football going to start? This is really boring around here. So I was really good and relaxed for about a week, and I've been bored ever since. So I'm ready to roll.
Hey, you know
Let's
what,
talk
Blaine?
College football.
You bring up a great point, and August 29th is not that far away.
Countdown to Connecticut.
98 days away, Blaine Fowler. We're under 100 before BYU and Connecticut kick off the season. You ready to roll, man?
So under 100, I can get excited now because it's under 100. Once it gets into double digits, then I can really start to think forward.
Fantastic. Right. An interesting week for the BYU athletic department, notably the BYU football program. And I want to rewind a little bit because I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on the allegations that came out that there were improper benefits given inside the BYU football program, and how the Cougars, as the squeaky clean kid on the block, have been able to avoid this situation until supposedly now. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think in any program, if you dig deep enough, you're going to find that there's some small infractions that are taking place. Not because people are trying to get away with things, but just because there's gray areas that people aren't sure about, and maybe they cross over the line here and there. I think when this is all said and done, we're going to find out that there's not major issues that are going on, but there were probably some minor slip-ups that occurred. BYU's been pretty good at staying out of trouble over a period of a number of years because they're in the mode of having to monitor their players probably more so than any other place in the country. I know that when the coaching staff gets together, always a topic of discussion is, how are the kids doing academically? You know, what are we doing? Is everybody tracking where they're supposed to be? Are we keeping them academically eligible? There's a whole honor code issue at BYU, so they're constantly monitoring that. How are we doing with the kids that are having honor code issues, or their potential to have an honor code issue? Are we monitoring that? Are we keeping the kids close to us? The kids that are at high risk, are we continually reminding them of what the standard that they're held to? And what about compliance? All those things are important to BYU, and because BYU has in addition to NCAA compliance and academic compliance that everybody else is held accountable for, they have this honor code thing, which makes them keenly aware of keeping the student athletes and the coaching staffs in the loop and constantly talking about it. And so I think that those things have made BYU a place that has been very compliant over a period of a long time.
Blaine Fowler on BYU Sports Nation. Blaine, I want to ask you this. You bring up all the different ways that coaches are taking care of their players right now. When you were here playing on that 1984 national championship team, what was the dynamic like then? I'm imagining that things have become more stringent over the past 30 years. What was it like for you?
Yeah, I don't know. In terms of NCAA compliance, I don't know that things have changed that much, and maybe that's a problem.
Huh?
Maybe things needed to morph a little bit over the time from when I was there till now. College football was a big business back then. It's a ridiculously big business now. It's gone from a multi-million-dollar business to a billions and billions and billions of dollar business where the NCAA is making an unbelievable amount of money. The universities have great revenue streams, the ones that are profitable like BYU. They have big budgets like major corporations. Yet the rules around how we treat student athletes have been very slow to keep pace with the changes that have happened to the finances of what we call, collegiate athletics.
So, Blaine, we talked about this earlier and just some of the struggles that, an average student athlete faces when it comes to bills and money, finances, things like that. Obviously, we know some athletes, some students are a little bit more fortunate than others when it comes to family situations. But what do you think the solution is? I mean, we talked about the issues, the problems of, the NCAA making millions and billions of dollars, but then the athletes are making a couple pennies.
Yeah, my feeling is that we need to make an adjustment in the amount of the stipend that the players have. I'm not as dramatic as like what Johnny Manziel talks about, and there are people out there, especially ones that were big time in the limelight. So Johnny Manziel is big time in the limelight, and who knows how many millions of additional dollars in revenue he brought into A&M while he was there. And he would have the opinion that we should differentiate between players based on how much revenue they bring, much like a corporation. I just don't think that we can get into that, because then there's no way to police that. How do you determine what a player's value is? So it can't be like that. It can't be like the NFL. I do, however, believe that we need to have a blanket increase in the stipend that players have that would give them enough money to be able to fly to and from home, wherever they're from, that would give them enough money that they can buy school clothes and fit in on campuses. I mean, because you take kids that come from underprivileged environments and you put them in a situation where they're going to a university, not just BYU, anywhere in the country, and some places that are very expensive universities where the majority of the student body come from tremendous wealth, and they stick out like a sore thumb. They can't afford to dress like 99% of student body dresses. They can't afford any of the things to be involved in the activity that those kids are involved in. So to me, we really put those student athletes in a bad position by putting them in a place where they just completely stand out from a socioeconomic standpoint and can't keep up at all. And we have to give them just a little bit more. I don't know what that is. I have to do more research. But is it double what they get now? Is it triple what they get now?
Triple.
Whatever it is, they've got to be able to afford the clothing and be able to go on some dates and be able to, transport themselves via airfare back and forth a couple of times a year so that they can fit in and not feel like they're lagging way behind everyone else when they're out there representing the university and working their butts off for more hours than most of those students are. And not being able to have even close to the lifestyle that those students have.
That's a great point. My point that I made earlier today was, for that kid that comes from a low income situation, and there's one example that's pretty close to my heart where the dad is nowhere to be found. The mom is having some issues and not really focused on the kids, on the family, and then the student athlete has a little brother and little sister that he takes care of, and so he's a star athlete at a university, and a booster or a donor comes to him and says, "Hey, great job! You scored 5 touchdowns. Here's an extra $2,000. On the side for what you did." I mean, how difficult is it for that particular situation, that student athlete, to not take that money when he knows, wow, dad is nowhere to be found, mom is struggling with some issues, and my little brother, my little sister, they're not eating food. I can send this $2,000 back to them. And so it almost becomes a no-brainer. I'm not saying that it's right for him to take that money.
Rules are rules.
But yeah, rules are rules. But going to your point, Blaine, if you increase the amount of money from $800 to $3,000, $4,000 a month, whatever it may be, now I have money to take care of myself and feed my little brother and my little sister without getting in trouble and jeopardizing my scholarship and my future.
And I'm sure somebody's done this, Brian, but I would love to know what the hourly wage is for a typical student athlete. And now we're not just talking about what is official practice.
We did the math, Blaine. It's about $7 an hour.
Okay. Now, and I want to know, did you figure this out too, Spencer? Did you actually count into there all of the training that person has to do on their own?
Yeah,
I did that.
Brian did that.
I did that, and it came out to half a penny. It was me, Scott Johnson, Andrew Rich. I think Brandon Bradley was there as well when we did it a few years ago, and it came out to half a penny
an hour.
Yeah, because you think, Spencer, the model that you're talking about accounts for what is actually considered official practice time and all that.
Right.
The model that Brian's talking about and Andrew and these guys are talking about is one that says, wait a minute, there's a bunch of time when I'm not here at practice with coaches that I'm expected to do this. To be able to keep my job, I have to do these things.
Yeah.
And I don't get paid for those either. And I go home for the summer. I can get a summer job, but that summer job has to be really, really flexible because I can be able to fit 3 hours of working out into my schedule every day. So I can't make as much as Joe, science major, because Joe science major is going home and he's just working all summer long. I can't get the same job that he gets because I really can't work 40 hours a week because even though I'm not here on campus, I still have to work out X number of hours a week. Or if I stay on campus and go to school, I'm in school and I have to get my workout in, I can get a job, but maybe I can only work 3 or 4 hours a day. So I'm disadvantaged that I can't even get the same kind of summer job that your typical student can get. And so how do we fix that? Well, the answer is not to say, oh, it's okay for the booster to give them 2,000, because now we're just going to run amok with everything we're doing. Because the Alabama booster is going to give them 10,000,
Yep.
and the Weber State booster is going to give them 400.
Yeah.
And so, to me, it would be better for the NCAA to say, listen, here's what we're going to do. There would be a flat $3,500. Any kid at any university with their tuition paid should be able to afford rent, food, have some clothes, have transportation, be able to go on some dates. This is a serious job that they have. This is decent money to pay them for that serious job. And now we're really going to police all the other stuff, because now that they're paid enough, there is no justification for that kid to take the
Absolutely.
Zero. You come down 5, 10, 10,000 times harder than what they're doing right now. I mean, you're talking about getting, suspended 2 to 3 games. Let's say your season, you're done for the whole year. I mean, we can go that extreme. I think it's justified with,
because if you're paying them a good wage, like it's a really, really good job, and that job is generating revenue for the organization that employs you.
Yeah.
And so if you're now, you can say to them, hey, you have a $25,000 a year job, or you have a $30,000 a year job to do what you love. You can't take money now, or you just jeopardize that job. And you want to know what? Nobody would blame the NCAA for coming down on them. And the kids would understand, boy, I would be stupid if I took some money right now, because I have this unbelievable job doing what I love doing, and I'm getting paid for it. Why would I put that at risk by taking some additional money? And so I think it would be easier to police if we paid them a fair wage.
It's a no-brainer for that athlete. When I'm getting $3,500 in my pocket and somebody wants to take me out to lunch, I'm like, man, I don't need. Thank you.
No, I got this.
Easy.
In fact, you know what? Let me pay for you, because I have a good job. I have a good job. And so it's. I mean, I think that's the solution, and I think it solves a lot of problems. But the NCAA has been slow to do it. And then, there are universities that don't have a revenue stream with a major program that has a television contract like BYU. And part of the question is, well, gosh, how do they compete? If they can't pay those kids that amount of money. And so, I mean, that's the other side of it. I think that what we're talking about is more important. You got to figure out a way to make that other side work. And whether that's revenue sharing for television contracts or whatever it has to be, so that the have-nots, there's not a bigger chasm. We have to do something. And, hey, how about this? How about let's have a football playoff which would generate billions of dollars, and let's revenue share that, and then we can fix all of this.
Oh, wait, we're doing that. That's weird. It starts this year, 14 playoff. Blaine Fowler.
Let's have a 16-team playoff, like the football championship subdivision.
Yeah.
And what kind of revenue is that going to generate? Additional revenue, and then let's take that revenue and all that excitement, and let's redistribute some of the wealth, and let's keep these programs.
Well, how much did basketball generate?
Yeah, the NCAA basketball tournament alone, Blaine, generated over $750 million between TV rights and ticket sales and concessions and all that.
Just
so it's
imagine.
Yeah.
And America's sport is not baseball.
Nope.
And it's not basketball.
Nope.
It's football. And you do a format of a 16-team format at that level. You talk about, and if people are interested in March Madness, how about December and January Madness, right?
It's going to be crazy. Crazy.
We're heading for that trend. Blaine, always great to have you. Don't go so long without coming back again. That is a demand.
Uncle Blaine.
I'm always here for you guys. All you got to do is bring me, and I love the fact that I get to be with you and Brian today. That's fun.
You got it. Thanks, Blaine.
Thanks, Uncle.
Blaine Fowler says the answer is a $3,500 stipend for each player.
I like it.